Uh, all right. In three, two, one, we welcome you to another edition of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Glad to have you along. Special edition, getting a chance to catch up with UAA women's head basketball coach Ryan McCarthy. Coach, glad to have you on the show and glad to have you back in the state of Alaska. You've been gone for quite a while.
Yeah, I think I read today it was like 40 days since we played a home game. So, yeah, we're
Yeah.
happy to be back and sleep in our own beds.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's just crazy. And I was looking at X and you posted something on X about the Seattle airport. Like, what happened to SeaTac? It used to be fun or something like that. What in the world happened to you down in Seattle?
Oh man, it's just like a rat race down there, just from getting bags and then we got moved to the S gates and the S gates is where a lot of the international flights happen and it was just bad. It's just they
It's,
used to have really good food and they don't and it was so easy and now Seattle's just a mess. So
do you guys ever not fly through Seattle? I mean, I think pretty much every time you guys leave, you're going through Seattle, it seems like.
yeah, unless we go to Hawaii.
Right.
So Hawaii's the direct flight, but anytime we're going east, then yeah, Seattle's kind of the hub that we stop through.
All right. Worst travel. Like, what is the worst thing about traveling? Like, if there is anything bad about it, other than you get frequent flyer miles, obviously, but
Yeah, no, that part's nice. I mean, I would say getting a middle seat, like that might be the worst thing. And I think anybody over 6 foot that has to go into a middle seat. So I've been pretty fortunate. We have a travel lady that like, takes care of everybody's like preferences and stuff. But yeah, that's bad. And then I just feel like nowadays more flights are being canceled and delayed. And when you got a large group like that and you're on the road a lot, it gets, people get a little testy. So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
No, totally understand. I can totally relate to the Seattle thing. So I was just, I saw that comment. I'm like, yeah, that's, totally get it. Uh,
Yeah.
so you guys up in UAF last week, played last Saturday against the Nanooks. You guys, handled business 172-36. And I think a lot of people would probably look at that 72 number and think the offense was clicking, if you were just the average fan. But I think if you look more into the box score, that wasn't necessarily the case. Like you guys' offense had its ups and downs and maybe more downs than ups in
Yeah.
that game. What did you kind of take away from that? And what did you see against the Nanooks?
I for whatever reason, I think if you looked at our box scores the last, I don't know, 10 years, that would be, that place either we shoot it really well and we don't guard anybody, or in this case, we did do a fairly decent job defensively. But offensively, just, I just think it's the part of it's the rivalry. I think part of it's UAF usually plays really well at home. And I think that we had a little bit of nervousness just going into that game, knowing the history that, the last probably 3 or 4 times that we've, been there, we've been in games where they've been really close and it could have
Right.
gone either way. And this year, I just think our expectations are higher. We had half of our team hasn't ever even been there before. And so it was just a kind of a game I think we had circled where it was like, we want to play to our ability. And one thing we've said this whole year that like our best is good enough for everyone in our league. If we give our best effort and we come in with our best focus, regardless of whether we shoot well or not, that's probably going to be a good outcome for us.
Are you at all surprised about how this team has come together chemistry wise? I know obviously you added a lot of new pieces, right? So if you look back to maybe the beginning of the year, first game of the season to where you're at now, it seems like your team has gelled pretty well. Are you at all like shocked by that?
Now that I know the players, no, because we brought in some really mature young ladies on the team that you came here for the reasons that they've proven to be here for, which is, trying to compete for a championship, be the best version of themselves, and came here for the adventure and like mystique of Alaska. And so I think they've really embraced where they're at, and I think they all have that on the same page. And then we just have some really good kids this year, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you get a knucklehead or two that's kind of hard to manage. And this year we got really lucky on that. I've loved, this is one of my favorite groups I've been able to coach and just to be around. So that's made it really fun.
One of those players that's kind of embraced a new role, it just sticks out in my mind. Jazz Evans, Jazz last 3 years, primarily a starter, and this year coming off the bench a little bit. Only started one game. Is that something beginning of the year you kind of envisioned her role being coming off the bench, or did it just kind of develop? And she's thrived in that role coming off the bench so far for you guys.
I really didn't know what to expect because I didn't know, one of the girls came back in Jasa Gamble, and she was like a power forward for us last year, and we moved her to a shooting guard, and she's done really well in that position and for that like role in the starting lineup. So I think for Jazz, like, you know, she's really embraced coming off the bench. I think there's a little bit less pressure. She's a point guard this year and she wasn't last year. We didn't know, that was going to be the case for Jazz. So we talked with her and told her like, hey, you're going to play point guard, but we want you to score. Like we
Right.
want that mentality that we don't want to take away from what you do. We're just moving you to a different position. And so she's really embraced that. She's been very consistent for us. And when she's that backup point guard coming onto the floor, I think she still is able to maintain that sense of calm. And sometimes we put her into the game to kind of calm us down a little bit. So I've just been, really happy with her development into that position. But also sometimes that's a hard conversation to have with somebody
Right.
that started their whole career. Jazz has just done a great job. I asked her at the beginning, we went through this phase where we thought maybe we'll start both point guards at the same time because they were both statistically playing so well. And Jazz said, no, I'm good. So I said, no problem. We'll keep it. We'll keep
We're
it
gonna
that way.
mess up a good thing here. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Amelia Long, I know you were stoked when she came to UAA, decided to come up and transfer. Did you really know what player you were getting when she committed? Like, she just seems different than anybody I've seen in recent memory for you guys out there on the floor, whether it's defensively, offensively. I don't know if there's a stop button in her game. Like, it's just constant go, go, go. Did you think that that's what we're getting when she signed?
Not at this level. I knew, she was even at Humboldt State. I think she averaged around a little over 3 steals a game or some number
Right.
close to that. So I knew like, okay, man, we're gonna put that number on steroids here because we're gonna, create a lot of problems. But she changed us. We had primarily been a zone team, and it was a system that I really believed in, and still do. But I hadn't had a team here where it was just like, well, we just put 5 players on the floor and guard you in man, and we're going to really cause problems because we can just be in the passing lanes all the time. Like we don't really have to junk it up. And she gives us that ability. And it's because she can play so many minutes. Her endurance is crazy. She is like you said, a different animal on the floor. And I just feel like we found a player that was like built for the system that we like to play. And that is Millie Long. So yeah, and she's, man, she's grown so much because this was her first preseason. She was a soccer player in college as well. So she would join her team in October. She wouldn't be working on basketball skills in August. And now, I think her game is starting to blossom. So I didn't know that she would make as big of an improvement as she has. And I honestly didn't know that she could go in a game and just like get 8 steals just because
Right.
she's upset, like so yeah, we look really smart sometimes with Millie on the floor. But no, I to answer your question, I didn't know, but I did know when we got her, like we threw a little party. I mean, I was
Yeah.
pumped that we got her.
I would hate to, I'm sure, like, kind of hindsight here, like if Millie doesn't come to UAA, like where's this team at right now? And I'm sure like you're thinking in the back of your mind now, man, I'm glad that she signed, obviously, because without her, I think it's a lot different. Don't you think? I mean, if she's not on the floor for you guys?
Yeah, I definitely don't think we're as dominant. I think that we've got a lot of pieces that would probably still create some
Sure.
wins for us. But every coach knows this. I mean, you get one player that can change a game, and man, and some people some nights don't need to show up, and she can still bail you out.
Right.
And at the point guard position, I think that particular scenario is amplified. So, we've been very fortunate in the past. Kiki Robertson, Yasmin Gu, we've had some, 4-year starting
Right.
caliber type point guards in this program. And I would put Millie in that echelon of point guard for sure.
Yeah, she's definitely up there in recent memory of point guards that have come through. Before we kind of get into talking about this weekend's opponents, Simon Fraser and also Western Washington, I got a random question that kind of popped into my mind. What is more frustrating, missed layups or blown defensive assignments to you?
It depends the outcome of if they miss their shot, then I'm going to be all right with it. But
Okay, all right.
uh, yeah, I would say in game missed defensive assignments
Okay.
on practice the next day. They're probably thinking layups because that's all the drills we're doing. Yeah.
I don't know why that popped in my head, but I just see you sometimes on the sideline after a missed shot from like 2 feet away or a layup or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you guys hustle back to the defensive end of the floor and you blow an assignment like it's a timeout immediately. Like it's just like, I just laugh in the back of my mind. I'm just like, I wonder which one pisses him off more. But so anyway, I had to know. Uh, opponents this weekend. Thursday, you guys are playing Simon Fraser. Saturday, you guys are playing Western Washington. Kind of break down both teams for us. The last couple of years, both those teams have had your number a little bit. I think the last times you guys played, they both won against you guys. So Western Washington's win came in the GNAC tournament. You guys beat them in the regular season twice, but kind of preview this year's matchups between those two. We'll start with Simon Fraser on Thursday.
Simon she's top three in the nation in scoring. She was leading the nation in scoring for majority of the year in their guard. Sophia Wazowski. I can't believe I forgot her name, but yes, Sophia Wazowski. She is averaging, 23 and a half points a game ish, and just has the ultimate green light. So anytime you have that kind of player on the floor with the capabilities that she has, and their coach is going to say, there's not a bad shot that you can take this game. Whoever's got that matchup has a long night ahead of them. And so fortunately, we have two people that, since we play the way that we do, and both I haven't seen a player that they've, got dominated by yet. So that will be a good challenge for Jasa Gamble and Janiyah Alexander for us, because that's who we're going to try to match up her with as much as we can anyways. And they like to shoot a lot of threes. They, spend most of their time in transition. So they're not going to come down and like really grind you or execute. They're going to take the first shot. And that cost us last year. We were up 17 with 4 minutes left, and we got a little bit tight and started missing some easy shots. And man, they got hot and they were hitting shots all over the place on a step back threes. In fact, one was over Jasa. Jasa played as good a defense as you can play, and the Wazowski kid did a step back three fadeaway and nothing but net. And it's just like, God bless him. That's nothing you can do. So, we're definitely looking forward to this matchup. I know their coach really well, and he's a good friend of mine who's been in the league a while. And I just always respect the job that he has, or has done with his team. And they're always got a couple tricks up their sleeves for press breaks and stuff like that. So I enjoy competing against them that way for sure.
Okay, try not to use a timeout in the first 90 seconds. That's
Yeah,
the goal. All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I feel like you're just one of those guys that doesn't matter the scenario or time. It's just timeout. Like we're fixing this now, which I like.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool. I like that because
yeah,
there's a lot of coaches that they'll wait to certain times in the game that they'll finally burn the timeout. But hopefully you're not calling one in the first 90 seconds.
yeah.
Uh,
Amen to that.
so Western Washington on Saturday. Obviously, this has been a rivalry that is, I mean, back and forth over the years. Carmen Dolfo, for those of you who don't know, just picked up her 700th victory, by the way. Spent 34 years now at Western Washington and coming in to the Alaska Airlines Center on Saturday. Classic rivalry game. I mean, what do you anticipate from the Vikings? A grinded out, fast paced type of game. What do you think we're going to see from Western Washington come Saturday night?
I think it's the opposite. I don't think they're going to want to run with us, and I think a lot of it comes down to their depth. She's dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Coach Dolful has, and I really respect the job that they've done. I mean, she had some big time injuries go down for them, some key players, and they're grinding out wins right now. Their win against Central that's a huge win for them,
Yep.
and she's always going to have them in place to compete. They're going to finish this year just fine. They went through some early losses, but some of their players that I don't think they had a vision for scoring a lot of points or statistically producing for them at the levels that they are right now, I think have kind of embraced those roles, and she always gets good players. So I think it was just kind of a flip of what kind of strategy they were going to use to get them in space, or in areas that they want to get them on the floor. And then defensively, a good coach is a good coach, and Coach Stoffel always has very sound defensive teams that kind of pack it in on you, and are going to play the field goal percentage game with you. So I think rebounding is always really important against those teams, and then creating turnovers and taking care of the ball so that you just have that turnover differential in your favor. So against her squad, they're going to be long, athletic. They may have a player back that transferred from Montana who has not played at all this year. And I feel like every year they save something like that for us. So she hasn't played, and maybe her first game will be against Anchorage, but she's a good player. I think she averaged about 10 points a game at the University of Montana her freshman season, and has been injured on and off since. So we don't have much film on that particular player, but yeah, they're going to get it inside. They're going to grind you, and that'll be a really physical game, I think.
7 o'clock on Thursday against Simon Fraser. Saturday's tip time a little bit different. 5:15. The men are actually playing at 3 o'clock, so a couple of doubleheaders there at the Alaska Airlines Center. It's actually a promotional game for you guys, I think, on Saturday, where fans get to throw stuff on the floor or something like that. Is that
Yeah,
what's going
it's
on?
for like soft good giveaways. And so I think you bring socks was one of the main things. I think you
Right.
bring some socks to the game, and I think it's through one of the Catholic foundations. So yeah, that will be a good one. And I think what will be nice is we'll get some new faces to the game, maybe people that haven't been to a UAA game before. So I think those are two really good games to get your feet wet with, in terms of just the intensity, and I think the quality of basketball that will be played on those two nights.
Have you seen the promo video that has been out
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
game?
Elena's in it, right? That
Yeah,
one.
Elena's in it,
Yeah.
and Millie's in it as well, and like Amelia Long's got to hit a half court shot. Like I'm wondering, like, all right, it looks pretty good. I'm like, how many takes did it take though? Like, I mean, how
Four.
did it
She got her
really?
fourth one. Yeah, yeah,
Nice. All right, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
lot of pressure, man. To like, all right, I got to make a half court shot here to like, get this thing moving. But that's just crazy. I was like, I always wonder about those promo videos. Like, how many takes did it take? But good for her. Four,
Right.
four.
Yeah.
Uh, this is your first game back to the Alaska Airlines Center coming up this weekend in 40 days. Are you at all like, I don't know, worried like at how you guys start just because you've been away from the Alaska Airlines Center is different than many of the gyms that you guys play in, right? I don't call it really a shooter's gym. It just seems like it takes a while for teams to get comfortable sometimes. And when you've been gone from home for that long, are you at all worried about that kind of stuff?
Yes and no. I think it has less to maybe do with like the arena setting rather than like the beginning of the game and playing in home, and the video comes on and the lights go out. And I think everybody's adrenaline gets going because
Sure.
we've smoked a couple layups right at the get-go because of that. So yeah, I think that's the big thing. I just think the atmosphere that the kids get to play in here is so much different than like a regular D2 gym. And it's all of a sudden that adrenaline shoots in, and they're shooting the ball a little too far, jumping up higher than they normally do on their layups. So
Right.
I think those are the main things. So if we can just kind of get through that first part, and maybe knock down a shot early, I think that normally settles the nerves a little bit.
What do you want to see your team do better this weekend? I know you got the W on Saturday, but what do you want to see some improvement steps wise this weekend against Simon Fraser and Western Washington?
Um, Definitely our transition defense. I didn't think that was very good. I didn't think it got exposed at the level that maybe it would have, against Fairbanks. So we had, a long film session about that. And then just being a little bit more patient in our spots offensively. We missed a lot of shots we normally take, but I think it was because we sped ourselves up a little bit. So I think, definitely against Simon Fraser, we'll see zone and man defense. And I don't really anticipate that for Western, but they might. And we've just got to be ready for both. And so sometimes when teams are switching up defenses on you, you start to, you know, take shots or miss shots that you normally make just because the tempo changes a little bit. So we've been practicing a lot of that this week and just going over like different looks that all of a sudden, hey, they're guarding a ball screen this way. Now they've
Right.
gone to switching, or now you're getting trapped. What do you do? So just a lot more conceptual type stuff this week with our ladies.
All right. Last question. I texted you this before the holiday break, the Germany thing, the Germany play call. All right.
Yeah.
So for the obviously I nobody really knows the story, but the background of this game's playing out. Forget who we're playing on the seventh. Who did we play on the seventh? Was it St. Martin's? Was that
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So St. Martin's. You call out Germany. I'm looking all over the floor for Hedda. Right. I'm like this is it. Like this is a play for Hedda. Like here we go. And I'm like, all right, she's not on the floor. And I look to the bench and she's sitting right in the middle of the bench. And I was like, damn it. Like this isn't gonna happen. So
Yeah.
uh what is Germany? Like if you want to like play it out for you guys, or if you want to share secrets. If not, that's fine. But I was just like, what is this play? Like, what are you guys doing when you call out Germany necessarily?
So we have like a series that most of our stuff is kind of like a football play calls. We do a lot of the same stuff out of different formations.
Okay, yeah,
But one formation set is like a double drag set. So it's like two posts up at the top. So it's like a double ball screen. So anytime we get into that formation, where two in the corner, two up top, we'll name it after a country. So we have America, we have Brazil, that one is Germany, and I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Inglorious Bastards or
yes, yeah,
been to a German basketball game. He gets found out for being an American because he does three this way and not three this way, right? So I always try to think of an easy hand signal. America's over your heart, right?
that's
And
awesome.
Germany is that way to do three, right? So um, it was not for Hedda, and it's actually for Ashlyn, who's from New
Yeah,
Zealand. Right? So
that's
yeah,
funny.
we kind of did that to kind of throw a
Yeah,
wrinkle in it because maybe
yeah,
people would think it's for our five, but it's
right.
actually for Ash. She just slips in it, and we're trying to get her in space so she can head downhill. But yeah, so we call it Germany, and it's for our kid from New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah. I was just so pissed because I'm like, yes, I know who's gonna get the ball, and I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like that's not the play. Like, and so it was just funny. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, God dang it! Like he didn't. Like it's not for that. Anyway. All right. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us here on the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Looking forward to the games this weekend. Good luck to you and your team, and we'll see you at the arena.
Thanks so much.
All right. Oh man. And stop.